series 2. And it starred, what is the guy? I know that the guy who played Atticus Finch played Ambassador Thorn. But anyway, so in case you don't know, this is a story about this family, a politician family, an ambassador. I think he's an ambassador for America, living in England. And he and his wife have been trying for months to have a baby, but have been unsuccessful. And then visiting Rome, while visiting Rome, they had tried again. And of course, the baby did sadly die. But while he's waiting to make sure his wife is okay, Mr. Thorne meets a priest, Father Spoleto, who was there when his wife was trying to give birth, and he's the one who tells him the sad news, but he also presents him with another child, a child whose mother had just died, and the child looks like it could pass off for their own child. So Thorne, reluctantly, he agrees, not knowing that this child might be the Antichrist. And the priest might be part of the Satanist. So he takes the baby, the son that they call Damien, home, and everything is great. His wife doesn't know that this child is not their biological child, that their child died, and things go pretty well. Until on the boy Damien's 4th birthday, when the nanny who was taking care of Damien decided to sacrifice herself, kill herself for Damien, and she ends up jumping off the roof. And this becomes a big deal, even catches the attention of a reporter, Hayward Jennings, who has been trying to find a story on Ambassador Thorne for quite a while now. And he starts constantly trying to find ways to photograph him and, appear in a lot of the events that Thorne attends. And he starts noticing some weird things in the photographs of the family, like this shadow looming over people that are either connected to the family or the family members themselves. And also a lot of other weird things start happening, like at the funeral of the previous nanny. Right away, a new one, this Irish woman, shows up claiming to be sent by the agency to be their new nanny, and Damien becomes extremely attached to her. He doesn't really have a relationship with his mother, Catherine, and is more of a relationship with the nanny, and I'm going to put this down because I'm tired of holding it. And also, on top of that, there's at one point, the family, Catherine and Damien go to the zoo, and the animals start acting weird. As soon as Damien gets to the cage where the animal is, they get violent and scared and afraid, And also, there is a dog that shows up. This really big, vicious black dog who shows up, and Damien forms an attachment to it, and Thorne is does not like this dog. Damien panics and freaks out and is afraid of going to church. In fact, they were unable to, maybe they did. Actually, I think they were able to find a way to, but they had trouble even baptizing them. They are Catholic, and so they never go to church with Damien. And, Miss Baylock is very protective of him, and it's just, things slowly start to get weird, and Jennings is trying to piece it all together and figure out what's going on. So, The Omen is not for the faint of heart, especially if you have a strong religious beliefs. Now, I am a very spiritual person, but to me, I take this as a horror fiction. I don't know if this could happen or not. I'm not thinking about it, and I'm just deciding to look at this as a work of fiction, and not not thinking about it, but I do believe I don't know if you are Catholic yourself, you might not be comfortable with reading this. But it's pretty horrifying, and there is some gory, brutal stuff. Like, it's not throughout. It's like not for shock value, or there's a lot of horrifying stuff that I don't see this as being for shock value. I think it's a warning to the characters, and like there's a reason that these characters and what happens to these characters. And there is if this is not for, and this is probably not the book for mothers either, like if you're a parent, because I mean Damien looks like an innocent child, and also there's at one point where the family, something happens to the baby that they were supposed to have, that is described, that is just horrifying. So if you're a parent, maybe this wouldn't be the book for you. But what is the author's name? I already forgot the author's name. Come on, this is... Dang it. Okay, let me try closing this. Okay, there it goes. Okay, sorry, I need to look at the author's name. David Seltzer. He does a really good job at building it slowly, because first it's little things throughout the story that make you a little suspicious, but you're not entirely sure. You are doubting yourself, like Ambassador Thorne and Catherine are, like, because he looks like an innocent child, and so you don't know. Okay, maybe they're wrong. Maybe this kid isn't the Antichrist. But then, being innocent is perfect way, because you'll doubt yourself, because you aren't sure, because he looks innocent. So you'll think, oh, I can't harm a child. So I think it makes it all the more scary to do that, because if this child is the Antichrist, no one's gonna ever hurt him because he looks innocent, even though you might know deep down that he's not innocent. And also the mark is hidden, so you don't ever see the mark that proves it. And even then, you might still doubt, because not everybody believes in the Bible and, believes in God, or like, the book of Revelations where it says Armageddon and the birth of the Antichrist and stuff. So it makes it all the more, I think it makes it all the more horrifying, because you're not sure. You don't know for sure what's going on. They do a really good job at making Miss Baylock really creepy and weird. Some of the things that she does are so unsettling, like, like disturbing. Some of the things, like, nothing really graphic or anything, but just the way she acts, and and like I said, some of the things that she does are, like I said, unsettling and unnerving. And like I said, you start to think, something's not up right with this woman. Like, I definitely don't trust her. And also, so we meet another character that is a priest that was part of the Satanist cult, and is like, he sided with them, he joined them, but then now he's starting to have second thoughts in the present day, and even tries to warn Thorne what's going on. But of course Thorne just sees him as a crazy, insane man, or like a stalker or something. He is, I mean, like I said, it's not, I mean, it does have a movie, but this is the book. So it does make you, like, you think, is Thorne right? Is this man crazy? Of course, also at the same time, you do know, because the book does go, it tells the story of this man's history and how he became part of this group, and why he turned from God, and you kind of understand how they were able to manipulate him to turn from God, because the way the monks treat this man when he's young is like, they're very cruel to this kid. and very brutal. And it's just like, that's not how you should treat someone who's trying to serve God and wants to believe in God. That's not, I think sometimes people hide behind religion, use religion as excuse to punish people. Because, I don't see, like I said, I'm a spiritual person. I don't see God in that way, that he wants to punish people. Like I said, but I'm not here to preach, so that's all I'm gonna say about that. Then that part kind of like pissed me off a little bit, infuriated me, how these monks treated this young man, and it's like, I don't understand their logic, their belief, why they would think that this is a way to show God's love and convince you to believe in God. I don't think that's going to get people to believe in God the way they treat this young man. So yeah, I don't think this is really. So, like I said, if you are a religious person or a spiritual person, I don't know if this might be too much for you as a horror book. Like, it's definitely gonna try. It probably would more affect me watching the movie adaptation, either one, because I'm actually seeing it play out on screen rather than just reading the words. As much as I'm an active reader, an avid reader, I love reading. Sometimes the visuals are more horrifying for me personally. Also, I like that it's not a long. This is one of the times where it's it's better that it's short, because it still builds it up, but it's not as, like, it doesn't drag it out too much. Like, I don't think the Omen needs to do that. I don't think the Omen needs to be a super long story. Like, I think the fact that it's short is perfect. Also, the whole theme of, like, doubting yourself and seeing this child and thinking, is the mom crazy? Is the dad crazy? Is the child the threat? Or maybe the child isn't, and they're just. It kind of made me think of The Changeling by Victor Lavelle, where the woman is the mother of this baby, is like, that's not my child, that's a changeling, and is determined to kill it. Meanwhile, her husband, our narrator, is like, no, honey, you need help. You need psychological help. You're crazy, and I'm going to keep you away from our child. It made me think of that a little bit, because it's a similar kind of situation where Catherine realizes that this child isn't hers. Although later she eventually does come to the conclusion, especially seeing the therapist, that I'm the one with the problem. I'm the crazy one. That this kid, my child, is innocent. Now, I did not trust. Now, with the therapist, I was wondering if it was going to be revealed he was working for the Satanist, or like the therapist. But then I think maybe the therapist was just an innocent bystander that didn't know any better, and was just, he was hearing what this woman said, and she's talking about her child not being this little boy not being her child, and probably wanting to, get rid of him, kill him or something. And so, of course, yeah, maybe the guy isn't that. He just thinks this woman needs help, and it's just her projecting, and she's just delusional. So, and of course he would think that, because he's a man of science and logic. He's a doctor, he's a therapist, so of course he's gonna rationalize and be like, oh, this woman, your wife, needs help, she's crazy. But I don't want to say outright that she's crazy. I'm just saying that she needs help. And of course she's trying to keep them. And it's interesting how these stories always, like, the person goes to therapist, so the therapist is offering drugs, or medication, and which is basically a drug, to get you to calm your nerves and all that. And there are people that don't like taking that kind of stuff, and it always seems ominous. It almost seems ominous when someone's given medicine, and then they're all of a sudden thinking differently. Like, or at least in this story, it felt like that. They were, that's why at first I was thinking, oh, what if he is a Satanist too? What if he works, for this cult? What if he's one of them? But then again, like I said, I think it was more that he was a therapist, and he's, in his mind, he's hearing this woman thinking, okay, she needs help, she's crazy, and I mean, this is just an innocent child, and you're thinking your child isn't theirs, and that's not possible, and that's not logical, and all of that. Like, you can kind of understand why people would have doubts. Of course, while I'm reading that, I'm like, no, you shouldn't have doubts. Like, once I'm, this is crazy. This woman is not crazy and all that. But if you really think about it, you can kind of understand why someone would react like that. Anyway, so this is actually not the first time I've consumed a story that is about that. Like, I did listen on audiobook The Good Omens, which is more a comedic take on this idea of the Antichrist. Like, there's an angel and demon, they're supposed to deliver the Antichrist and everything, but then things go wrong, and they end up accidentally switching them, and getting them switched, and the angel and the demon have to go find the kin and stop him, before things go wrong, and, so it's in a more funny way. It's by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman, and it's kind of a comedic take, and then even Supernatural tackled it a little bit. Although thinking back now, I mean, the episode was fun and entertaining, and it wasn't a bad episode, and it came to a good conclusion. It kind of had a hopeful ending. But I almost wish they had done more, like had a full-on story arc, not just a one episode situation, but I wish they had explored that more. Like, maybe Sam and Dean have to, protect the Antichrist and, teach him to be good or something. Which kind of that story is given to, I cannot remember the name that they gave him. But they end up doing that later with with Lucifer's son. It was like, that was the Antichrist storyline. So it's like, you introduce the Antichrist, the child who's called the Antichrist, and then you later have another character who is basically the same thing, serves as the same role. I wonder if anyone else noticed that. That kind of bugs me. I don't, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you have, it's like you have two Antichrist. Like, the only difference is one of them is an angel, one of them you don't call them the Antichrist, and the other one you call the Antichrist. So I don't understand why that was the point of them having two children characters of Lucifer, one of them being the Antichrist and one of them not being, unless, like, they see Lucifer as separate from the devil. I don't know, but that was confusing. That was confusing. So I was a little disappointed. Now thinking back, I'm a little disappointed by that storyline. I mean, maybe that's why that character later, they were backtracking, like, oh, we dropped the ball with the Antichrist storyline, so we need to take advantage and do something else. Try again with this other, I wish I could remember his name. But anyway, I'm trying to think of, there was another story that kind of dealt with that kind of, the Left Behind series. They introduced the idea of the Antichrist, but the Antichrist is not a child. He is an adult. He's a grown man. This is basically the end of the world happened, and half the population gets, erased from existence, and you have these group of people that got left behind remaining, and they're, anticipating the Antichrist is going to show up, and the Antichrist shows up, and he is a grown adult. He's a politician, which this book, funnily enough, also, the child is born to a political family. And, like, that's what they refer to this, like, I can't remember what the poem was. In terms of, he's a child that's born into politics. And in the Left Behind series, the Antichrist as an adult is a politician. So that also kind of deals with it. I never finished the series, but it, in fact, I passed it on to my grandmother, who actually read it and liked what she read. She read the whole thing, I think. Which, that's actually surprising, because, that she did, but she, I don't see her doing that again, but, which I kind of appreciate that she did. We tried to get her another set of books that were similar, that were dealt with religion and all that, but it didn't work out as well as Left Behind did. Anyway, so that's the Omen. Like I said, it's a very dark story. And I wouldn't recommend it for everybody. I mean, but it's not a long one. And maybe if you're just curious, like, I would, I wouldn't think too much about this, especially if you are Catholic. I wouldn't dwell too much on it because then it might get you scared, like actually scared. Which, yeah, horror is supposed to do that, but if you think too much, you might start to worry about this actually happening. Like I said, I don't know if this will happen or not, and if it possible for it to happen, the Antichrist being born, then it probably won't happen in my lifetime. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But that is my review for The Omen. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, click subscribe if you haven't already, click the bell notification below if you want to be notified about my latest videos. Are you reading any good horror lately? I'd love to know what those are. I'm currently reading, now that I've finished The Omen, I'm going to get back to The Family Parsonage, which is kind of a nice contrast. Like, it's a little more of a light-hearted, fluffy story. There's a little bit of romance in it. The drama is like, less intense. The conflict is, money problems but it's not a dark story, so I think it's good to have a story reading a story like that at the same time as you read something like The Omen. It does, although they both do deal with religion a little bit. Like the community in Barsetshire is governed by their church. So it kind of has a similar religious background, but it's not as intense, and it's not horrifying like The Omen is. Anyway, so I will talk to y'all later. All right, bye!